On this wonderful winning Wednesday, the gang's out here, and we are excited to be here this morning for the Empowered Morning Show because you know what? It's a beautiful day to be empowered.
It
Every
is.
morning, wake up, thanking God and saying, Lord, it's a beautiful day to be empowered. I know that whatever you have for me, whatever is in store, it's working together for my good. So whether it is, I think I told somebody last week, I talked to a gentleman, and I was like, oh, hey, how was your day? And he was like, all of my days are good days. Some are just better than others. I was like,
Amen.
I know that's right. That's my kind of language.
That's my kind of response. All of my days are good days. Some are just better than others.
Yes, even when it looks like it's not my day, it's still my day. Because every no, even when I go through the day and it looked like, you ain't winning, who not winning? Because it don't go by appearance, because people go, especially in this social media world, they go fully by appearance. I know she's not depressed because I see her on Facebook all the time, and she always giving all these happy and go, and she's always traveling. Or that's she's so girl. Her life is terrible. You should see it on Facebook, and she is living the best life because we are so judgmental about what we see. We think what we see is who the person is. That is not. Oh, that's how they life. Oh, they have money. They just know how to shop well. Like some people know how to. But it's crazy how we evaluate people being the best or being beneath because of what the appearance.
Because of appearances, you can look at somebody who drives a nine. I'm gonna take them back to 19. I'll say a 2010 vehicle, living in modest home, and they don't wear designer clothes, and you think, they barely making it. And they may have a bank account swole, baby, because they just don't choose to put it out there.
They just know how they have made a decision that they're not gonna go by name brand to determine their brand. Their brand is who they are. So they don't have to have.
They're not trying to impress anybody. They're not trying to get validation.
I can go to Walmart, get me a polo shirt, and they good. And look, I love the Goodwill. I love Goodwill. I was just in Atlanta, and your girl was over there at Goodwill trying to see what they can find at Goodwill. And I know every color. I mean, I'm down for Goodwill. It's like a boutique to me.
But you know what the reality is? What they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. You don't know, because a lot of times people buy clothes and they still have tags on them, and they say, you know what, child, I can fit it, or I no longer works with whatever my lifestyle is now, and so they give it up to somebody who can benefit from it. There's nothing wrong with that. Cynthia said, yes, me too. And let me go back and say, Cynthia, good morning. Miss Patricia, good morning. Miss Phyllis, good morning. We are so glad to see you all here with us. Wonderful Wednesday. But you know what? On the flip side of that, you have people who feel like under constant pressure to make people think that their life is wonderful. So they are out here name branding it down. And like somebody said, you got a $500 purse and you can't even put 50 cents in it.
And you have
balance, and we gotta stop being so judgmental and just assuming that we know how somebody's life is, because you don't.
Let me tell you, Angela, I remember buying my first brand purse. Like, I was so excited. I bought my own brand purse, and then I asked my grandma for $20, and she said, so we have money to go buy these luxury purses, but now you need $20.
Come on, grandmama said, wait a minute,
ma'am, I need you to prioritize your life. You are living life backwards. Why are you walking around? How much did you pay for this? Look. And everything to her was little. How much you pay for this little thing?
But it's
and she was like, I am not giving you $20. I will not.
What you say? You will suck it up and you won't be whatever it is you do for 20. You won't.
This woman did that. I said, I don't have no gas. She said, figure it out.
Ask the people what they hold
the purse.
It was like, figure it out.
Hold this. And now when I get 20, I'll be back to get it. Yeah. Good morning, Miss
But we
Doris. Good to
need
see
that
you this morning.
sometimes. Sometimes you need like don't because we can rod. I mean, we can mess up people's direction because we want to be rescuer and rescue of people. Everything like oh, let me be God. Like people try to be people's God. Let God be God. You are not God.
God be God. But you know what I wanted to talk about today? I had a conversation last night, so y'all know that the We Shine Media Spotlight is presenting the Becoming Her series, and so I've had an opportunity, to interview. 7 ladies so far, and it's a total of 25. So we're going throughout the rest of the month of May, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so, with that being said, I had a conversation with the beautiful, humble Pressure last night. Still in Atlanta celebrating her birthday. Safe travels. I think they're going back today. So, safe travels to you all if you get a chance to watch this. But we were talking, and I just realized that so many people suffer from this. It's so easy to pump somebody else up. It's so easy to congratulate them, to give them compliments, to tell them, oh, you're great, to make them snap out of it when they don't believe it. And you're like, oh, no, you are amazing. You're wonderful. You're awesome, incredible. We can do those things for other people. But Natasha, why is it so hard for us to believe it about ourselves? Why is it so hard for us to take compliments? Why is it so hard for us? Why can we not see what other people are telling us they see in us?
For a variety of reasons, but the first one's what Dr. Sparkle was just talking about is that judgment. The reason why we judge other people is because we're too busy judging ourselves. And then we're measuring and are comparing ourselves to the way other people are living their lives. So that's one thing. The other thing is limiting beliefs. If I don't believe that I can be successful, if I don't believe that I am good enough, then you can give me all the compliments you want to give me. It may sound good immediately in the moment, but it's not really going to take root because I still believe that I'm not I can't be successful and are good enough. And the reason why that limiting belief continues to play in the background, it's because I'm continuing to judge myself. I'm continuing to compare myself to other people and then measure, well, like Dr. Sparkle says, look at what they've got. Look at what they're doing. I'm not there. I'm not doing that. And this morning's scripture was all about not believing in what you see, but, focus on the unseen. And I love that as it ties into social media. We get so caught up on what we're seeing on social media, but we have no idea on the things that we're not seeing.
No
right?
idea.
Right. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And Miss Doris said, I thought it was filling a void.
Well, I didn't. I felt like it was that confidence, like you said, that limited belief. I didn't see myself being able to be an executive because I didn't feel like I was intelligent enough. I didn't come from the right family. All those things that I pointed at that God gave me less. And the blessing that we forget that God gave us all the same dose. The dose of life. He gave us life. And he didn't say, well, you can have abundant life, but you can't have abundant life because you came from somewhere else. If you really read the Bible, nobody had that great life.
But you know what, Sparkle? I feel like when we are looking at other people, we discount the things about ourselves that really make things happen. So the reality is, it doesn't matter what family you're born into. Your gifts and your skills are unique to you. Your experiences are
Yes.
unique to you. So a lot of times we may say, because one thing I've noticed, and Natasha, you can tell me, I don't know if is this a specific thing that makes a difference between men and women, but if somebody posts up that they have a job opportunity available, and it may be a C-suite position, and they may say, hey, you need to have a degree in this, and you need to have so many years of experience, and you need to have these qualifications. A man will look at it and say, child, that's my job. Let me go and apply for it. And he'll go for it, whether he's short in some of those things or not, because he figures that all I need to do is get in there and I'll take it from there. A woman would look at it and say, oh yeah, no, I don't have all these. Oh yeah, I haven't really done that. Oh yeah, no, this is not for me. Why do we shortchange ourselves as women and think that although we run households, we've taken care of children, we've multitasked with the best of them, we've done leadership, the things that you do every single day for women qualifies you for what this position is, but we don't think that we have what's needed. How do they look at it and say, oh yeah, I don't got all of it, but I'm gonna still go for it? And we say, oh yeah, I don't have all of it, so let me.
I don't know that it's necessarily a gender thing. I think, yes, I hear you. I think, yes, I think more oftentimes we see more women having that depth of insecurity. So, you know, we look at this checklist and say, okay, we don't meet that. We can't do it, and we move on. But I've seen a lot of women also have a very similar mindset like men, where they're looking at it and say, you know what, I'm going to go in there anyway, and I'm going to give this a shot. Right. So I don't know that it's necessarily gender specific, but it all boils down to mindset. You know, it all boils down to my not allowing what my old beliefs were to hold me in place that stops me from doing the next right thing, or stop doing the next thing that I probably should be doing.
Right.
Our mindset can be very crippling, and or it can be very empowering. So and I think a lot of us fail to recognize how much power we have in changing our mindset. You know, so in that situation where a woman is looking at all of these, you know, prerequisites, she immediately is comparing herself to the checklist. More than likely, in the analogy that you gave, the man is not necessarily comparing himself, but almost maybe seeing it as a challenge and saying, oh, well, they said that I need to have this, this, and this. Well, let me just go in there and show who I am. That moment for a man is mindset. He's shifting his mindset, and he's not allowing himself to be defined by that list of things, where oftentimes women may find themselves trying to define themselves by that checklist of things that they're seeing.
I can see that, because I feel like men are more, they say men are hunters. So men typically feel like they can conquer whatever.
They take more of a risk.
Yeah, they're not overthinkers like women are. I think men are designed in a certain way to know, look, hey, I got to go out and get it. And so they make it happen. Women have a different mindset behind that.
We're more cautious.
Yeah, a lot more cautious. Cynthia said it is the confidence level. She didn't think she could be an author. So the reality is, for a lot of people, you talk yourself out of situations before you even have a chance to do it. And as much as she said she didn't think she could be an author, once she wrote her chapter, it's amazing. It's a great chapter. She did an amazing job. But a lot of times we don't think we can do the very thing that we might be excellent at.
So can we break that down really quickly? Because it's important for people to understand the confidence isn't going to come first.
No.
Right? The confidence comes
after. The nerves are.
Correct. And there's a high likelihood that you did something, Angela, because you're the lead person when you're working with your authors. You said something to create a mind shift that led the person to take the step and take the chance to be an author, to write the book. Do you understand? And that's what people fail to realize. So I come into this with you and I'm like, I don't think I could be an author, right? And because I'm believing that, this is just an example, I'm believing I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to be an author. I'm not like all the other ladies. I can't write like all the other ladies. That's a mindset. That lowers my self-esteem. That lowers my self-confidence. But then I have a conversation with you, Angela, and just in talking to you, you empower me. You lift me up. You remind me of who I am. In that moment, that conversation shifts my mindset. And you open a door long enough for me to step into. And as I step into it, I'm still kind of not thinking I can do this, but Angela thinks I could. And that is enough to create a mind shift in the individual. They step into it, then they write the book, and then boom, now the self-confidence is boosted because the mind shift occurred. I can't tell people enough that if you don't invest in your mind, life won't shift for you. So
that is so powerful in and of itself. And I want to say this: if we take that same concept and apply it to children and help them to see themselves, because most children really believe that they can do anything. You know how they'll say like, oh, well, shoot, let me go on this bike, and you're like, and it's adults that say, Oh, be careful.
We limit them.
Oh, yes, we throw ice water on, all that passion and excitement because we feel like we're already projecting our fears and our insecurities and our
Mhm.
doubts on
Correct.
their ability to think they're fearless. A little kid can put a little cape on and get at the top of the roof and feel like I'm gonna jump out of this thing and on the wall.
Yes.
And you look like you'll jump off there and break your
So
neck from there.
So that's an example of how, like, shame is not something that we're born with. Shame is something that is inflicted on us,
Yep.
right? When you do something, how the adult reacts to you, like, oh my God, why did you do that? Oh my God, this is what other people are going to think about. In that
What
moment,
other people are going to think about you.
You are introducing shame to the child. The child didn't know shame,
Wow.
Yeah.
right? It was like with Adam and Eve. Even Adam didn't know about shame until the serpent introduced that to them. Right?
It was still somebody that had to introduce it to them.
Correct.
Right.
Without it, they didn't know.
They were like, we're naked. And he was like,
who told you was naked?
You didn't just happen to get naked because you talked to the serpent. You were already there. But now you have an awareness, and now you're thinking twice about something that you were walking in comfortably before somebody else made you question.
So the limiting beliefs that we're talking about, those are rooted in your childhood experiences. Mm-hmm. Those rooted experiences you carry with you. It then shapes your identity. You then begin to you conform to, I'll never be an author. I will never be good enough. I'm not like them. I can't be successful. And when you send that out into the universe, what do you expect you're going to get back?
Yeah.
When you send that message to God, what are you non-verbally telling God? Correct. What are you telling God? If God is the Almighty, the all-powerful, and God can do all things, and we're supposed to trust and walk in his expectations and walk in faith, and we're over here on the side of our mouth saying we can't do this and we can't do that, then what are you non-verbally saying to God?
Yeah.
You're saying he is not sufficient. You are saying that he is not capable, and you are saying that he cannot turn this around for you.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, we quote all the time, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
But
so it's like we say it, but do we believe it? Because I was reading something a while back where they said, do you really believe that? Because I was reading something a while back that said, you're never going to surpass the belief that you have in yourself. So if you never think that you can do anything, you can't go to another level if you don't see yourself or believe that you can achieve that next level. So a lot of times, you know how they said we put a lid, they talk about breaking glass ceilings.
Yep.
A lot of times we put our own lid on ourselves. We crawl in the box.
We limit ourselves.
Yeah.
We limit ourselves. I lost my train of thought. You said something just now, and I was just going to say, but it escaped me, so it'll have to come back.
But maybe this is, it's amazing. That's why it goes back to what you tell us, Natashah. It's from that age of newborn until you're like 10 of what somebody tells you. I remember so clearly, I had a family member that just disliked me, and she would say things to me like, you're never going to be anything. She would constantly pour that into me. So in that pouring, because that's what was poured into me, it sucked into my belief system. So
it's programmed. You were programmed.
Yeah, because I was programmed. Like, it was I hated to see her come because I knew like what she was gonna say. Like my grandmother said, "Oh, I love you so much, and you're so great." And then this woman comes and says, "You ain't." They just think
you ain't all that.
Mama
think you just everything, and you're nothing. Like it was, but it was also that jealousy.
It's so cruel that people would choose to destroy your dreams or belittle you and make you think you're not all that, especially as a child. You know what I'm saying? Because
nobody had a chance. Like, I didn't even know the comment about you think you all that. Like, she was the one who taught me what that meant. So, and sometimes people teach you what things mean, and that's not the meaning of it.
So this is not to defend her by any stretch of the imagination, but just to put things into context. She said what she said because she was jealous and envious that somebody was making you a priority, because chances are she was never made a priority in her own life.
Yes, I truly
right?
believe. I don't like, and I believe when people do things to you, it's not who they are. It is that behavior or that emotion that is speaking for them.
Correct.
It's not the person.
It's the
It's that
wound.
emotion that
And,
has
and,
been
and
driven.
let's deal with that because a lot of people make emotional decisions.
Mm.
Yes,
It
very
comes from
emotional.
wherever that is, and an emotional decision doesn't always turn out to be the best thing for you. A
And you
lot of
can't
times
take
we're
it
caught up in
back.
feelings, we're caught up in emotions, we're caught up in not necessarily what is happening right now, but we're thrown back into how we felt when somebody else did something, and now we're projecting that on somebody else. And the reality is, a lot of times we've got to learn emotional intelligence to understand that, you know what, before I go and do this, let me sit down and really think about this because I feel some type of way, and I need to make sure that what I feel is happening is actually what's happening.
So
It's,
now you're
and,
so now
and
you're
they
going
say
back.
they went to God with it. But again, I truly believe when you can go to God with your own belief, okay, and then you say you take it to God, and then you still are standing on that unbelief because now, okay, I'm gonna pray about it. But did you really pray about it, or did you still let your emotions override?
Well, let's go one step further with that because this ties into yesterday's topic that Angela and I were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us are avoiding our feelings. So yeah, you went with God about the unbelief, but if you were avoiding your feelings, then you didn't go to God about how you're really feeling about the situation. So you
Mm-hmm.
didn't go to God in all of your entirety to share all of it with God. You may say, God, I'm feeling kind of insecure about that job, or God, I don't think I could be an author. But did you actually confess to God how you really felt? And the reality is a lot of us don't do that because
How
we're
you really
avoiding
feel?
the feelings, right? And so when
Yeah.
you avoid the feelings, you don't really, now you're not even paying attention because your feelings is what's driving the unhealthy behavior. So yeah, I went to God and said, God, I don't think I could be successful. God, I don't think I could be an author. That's great. But you're still missing, hey, God, I'm feeling scared. God, I'm feeling helpless. Well, God, I'm feeling this.
Yes,
And
Natasha.
I need you to lift the stubbornness or the resistance or the lack of courage or the, whatever the behavior is. Because in that moment, that's what Angela's talking about, emotional maturity. Emotional maturity requires you to be able to recognize how you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
give yourself permission to feel, and then release it to God so that God can show you the way that He needs you to go. Right.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and also being able to acknowledge, you know what? I am being stubborn, or God, I'm getting in your way, or I am being self absorbed, or whatever that might look like. You have to recognize how you're behaving in that moment and acknowledge what you're doing. Because if you're not acknowledging it, you're not aware of it. And if you're not aware of it, you're burying it. And if you're burying it, over time, that's what leads to our mental health issues that we then develop over,
Yeah.
years.
And it
It's
carries
all
Because
tied
you for
together.
a lifetime. Like
Mhm.
some, and until you have another breakthrough of acknowledging who you are. And that's where I believe that God really sends people like Natasha that you can really sit down and talk to so that we can really deal with these emotions, so that emotions won't drive you, and you can finally give it over and release it from emotions. Because let's think about it, people have ended divorces over emotions, they have relationships over emotions, jobs over emotions.
They get into unhealthy relationships because of
Of
emotions.
emotions.
exactly. And you know what, I thought about it because, we don't realize how one thing can bubble up and affect other things.
Yeah.
We tend to compartmentalize something and think, oh, okay, well, I'm over and done with that. But if you dealt with abandonment as a child, that can definitely bubble into relationships now where you say, okay, I feel like you didn't show up for me like you should have. And because I feel like that, now I don't want to be bothered with you anymore because
Yes.
this is what happened to me back here. And I haven't reconciled that what you've done, what I perceive you've done, compared to what happened to me that I buried and never dealt with. are
Yep.
not one and the same thing. That's why they say when you have one relationship, you can't blame the next man
And you
for
can't compare
somebody
it.
else's
Like,
because you have a trigger moment or you have a similar situation. It's kind of sort of like, when you're trying to boil something and you add milk to it. Water that boils doesn't typically bubble over in the pot.
mm-hmm.
But when you put milk in there and it starts boiling, you start seeing that milk bubbling. Next thing you know, it's rising up
It's
and it's spilling over.
everywhere. Yep.
It's a difference in being able to understand how some situations, because of what it's made up of, will cause it to bubble over and create more things than maybe even the original situation did. Maybe you feel a certain different way towards this person, or maybe whatever's going on in your life is different, but it gives you a reaction that bubbles up quickly before you even get a chance to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on your abandonment thing a little bit. I want to open it up a little bit more because I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when people hear abandonment, they're like, well, I wasn't abandoned when I was little. You might not have been abandoned physically, but many of us that were raised in chaotic and dysfunctional environments
Yes.
were emotionally abandoned, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
that emotional abandonment leads to those limiting beliefs that we were talking about, right? That I'm not
Mm-hmm.
worthy, I'm not good
Mm-hmm.
enough. Your example, Angela, is on one end of the spectrum where we may find ourselves, believing that we're not good enough and worthy, and find ourselves struggling to connect in relationship with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at the other side of the spectrum, now we're clingy and we're needy.
Mm-hmm.
We can't live without that person, or we're going to settle
Mm-hmm.
for that person and tolerate a lot of things that we shouldn't be tolerating because of the fear of abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you're absolutely right in the way things bubble over. And we have got to start paying attention to how the very first set of relationships in our lives have shaped us. And
Yes.
everybody's, as we come upon Mother's Day this weekend, your very first relationship in this world
Yeah.
was your relationship in the
With your
womb
mother.
with your mother.
Yes.
Right? So right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent, it's
It's
important to
still.
evaluate how that shaped me. Then I
Mm-hmm.
come into the world. Was the father figure there or not there? Was a grandmother, aunt, godmother, whoever else was in there? How did they influence me in terms of being in a relationship with them? Because
Mm-hmm.
that is very significant to what we're talking about, to what we believe to be true, how that shapes a pseudo identity. And I say pseudo identity or a secondary identity because it separates us from the identity in which Christ was created us to be. Right?
Mm.
The work that I do with women is helping them break free from this pseudo identity and go
Mm-hmm.
back to the original identity of who God created them to be. Because
Okay.
we are not operating from that place. If we were operating from that place, then we wouldn't have these limiting beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would be
Right.
walking fully in our faith. We would be walking in 100% trust and saying, I am this and I am that, and I am going to do this because the God that I believe in lives inside of me and is moving inside of me. That's where we're getting to. And in order to continue to stay on that path, we have to break off that pseudo identity that was created because of
Mm-hmm.
the experiences and relationships we had in early childhood. This idea that, oh, it's my husband or my girlfriend or my wife, and we want to
All
blame it
that
on the
blaming.
adult version of our lives. There's no one to blame here, but it's
No.
understanding what it's rooted in. And if you can take care of the root, then you stand the chance of really growing a really healthy tree or a healthy plant,
Right.
shaping your life altogether. So
That's
Okay.
so.
That's
It's
so
just like
powerful.
an orange. You know what's inside the orange, but until you do the peeling of it,
correct.
you're never gonna get to the orange. It can look so pretty. Oh, this orange is so bright and it's so pretty. It looks so delicious, but you never get to enjoy it until you unpeel it.
And or you peel it and realize that the inside it's still maybe not sweet enough yet, or it's not ripened yet, it's not
And
ready to be eaten yet.
Or even to the point of people take the outer part of the orange,
oh
the
yeah,
outer skin off. Well, underneath that is that white
There's still,
piece
yeah,
that's still so you
that still needs off.
it's still more to it. You still have to peel, more than just that outer off to get to the good juicy piece in the inside.
And you still got to spit out the seeds. The seeds that you don't eat the seeds of it. So even
don't
when you
want.
get to it, you still got some plucking that still has to do. And that's what
Exactly.
I'm loving the season that we're in, of becoming her, becoming her. And in the becoming of her is letting go of all that limited belief that you can't put a limit on you. God did not create us for limitation. Everything about him says abundance. He said all. He said the world. I mean, you don't have to be in the world to, like he gave us so much wisdom, but then before you could even learn the wisdom, somebody came into your life and started trying to pound the wisdom that you haven't even received before. So you haven't gotten to God's word, but you have gotten to the person's word. So now you believe what they said versus what God said.
God says. And that is what shapes your life. That is what leads to, right, those limiting beliefs or the emotions that you're carrying. And then that ties into the type of decisions you make.
Mm-hmm.
I know this sounds really scary, but the reality, this is what we have to look at. Because now, like Angela said, I am making decisions solely based on how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I am very reactive. So think about the decisions about relationships, our decisions behind money, our decisions in the type of jobs or the careers in which we step into.
Yep.
Are those really decisions that are healthy decisions? They might be working, but does that necessarily mean it's healthy? If it's rooted in unresolved emotions, if it's rooted because you're fearful that this is as good as it's going to get, you are not truly living your life. You are actually living in a place of survival. You're just doing just enough to get by, and you're not living at the full expectation that God has for you. You're not living in that abundance, Dr. Sparkle, like you're talking about.
I was thinking about Tapper Brown always says, if you're not gonna have a good day, don't you dare go messing up somebody
No,
else.
come on, I'm with
Don't mess up
Tabitha. I'm
somebody
in
else's.
agreement with her.
And yes, and a lot of people don't operate from that perspective. You want to get somebody before they get you. You want to hurt somebody if they hurt you. We retaliate quickly without thinking of long-term consequences. And if you're not having a good day, you know, you can go into work and you've had a bad day. Maybe traffic was heavy. Maybe, you had an argument before you left the house. And when you walk into your job, everybody else is like, hey, good morning. You're like, hey,
good morning.
you know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
Well, what's wrong with her? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna
And
leave her alone today.
maybe for somebody who is struggling with anxiety and depression, your half behind comment has
Right
now
there.
made them feel some type of way. And they're just like, well, I was just trying to be nice to her. Well, I bet you I won't say nothing else to her then.
Yes.
And we automatically go into self-preservation mode behind somebody else's random, not thinking about how they're responding to somebody else and how that's going to affect them. Or how somebody may say, what, I was contemplating suicide today, but you came and you said this and it just encouraged me and now I'm going to change. Like you said, Natasha, we don't know how powerful what we say or what we do can impact somebody else's life. We have no idea the power that we hold in making somebody else's day or not. Your child comes home from school and you don't have time for that. You're like, look, hey, I don't have time for that. Just get somewhere, sit down, or go outside and play, or I don't want to hear all that. Your child is excited because they got an A on their paper or somebody choking or do something. It's just like, I can't wait to go share with my mom, and mom get home and my mom is acting crazy because she's mad because her boyfriend said something foolish and now she's mad. So now everybody gets it. We don't tend to think how those things can negatively change somebody else from being joyful and happy to, oh, okay.
Because it can shut them down. Like they went from this high and then you said, get away. So now they are, from your throwing them off, they have taken what they thought was so great. And now they have put it down to, well, it must not have been much. It must not have been good enough. Like, you have heard, no matter what I do, it's not good enough for my mom or my
Now
dad.
here comes a distorted perspective that the child develops because there's a breakdown of communication within the family system, and where the child is walking away believing that getting good grades or doing well isn't of value. So now they're going to minimize this moving forward in life, right? Now, the other thing that and I say this all the time because I learned this when I was getting sober, is it's not always about me.
It's not. Oh my
And
gosh, can you make
not
a
always
big
about
sign that
and
says
so when you use the example of someone being in a bad mood and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's wrong with her? It's not about you. You have no idea what that person woke up to this morning. You have no idea what that person, and I'm not saying that their attitude is good, but it's not for me to judge their attitude. If you genuinely went in to say good morning and you said good morning and they're not feeling it, walk away. Right?
Because we take everything so personal.
It goes both ways.
We take it personal.
We are personal driven individuals and we think everything stems from me. What did I do to make you treat me like this? How did this, that, and the other? And a lot of times it has nothing to do. It's so far from what you're thinking, but you created a whole scenario because of how you feel about something. And I'm not saying that you're wrong to feel like you feel. Everybody's entitled to feel like they feel. But at the same time, on both ends, we have to be careful about personalizing everything. Because you think about it, a lot of children feel like if your parents get divorced, what did I do?
It's their fault.
So a clarification on the personalization. People who tend to personalize are individuals who are rooted in past experiences of chaos, dysfunction, and trauma. Okay, those are three different things, by the way, because a lot of people say, well, I don't have trauma. I don't know why everybody gets hung up on the word, because if you define it, you'll realize that
everybody has had some trauma.
Exactly. So
coming to the world was traumatic. Coming to the birth canal was traumatic.
Thank you. So, if you want to dismiss trauma, then just add dysfunction or chaos. That kind of softens the blow and makes everybody feel a little bit better, right?
Right.
So the personalization stems from that, because when you believe that you're not good enough, you're not of value, you're not important, now you're seeking, you're yearning to be of value. You're yearning for attention. So that's where that personalization comes into play. And I love this guy, and I'm always going to recommend him. This is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. 95% of the beliefs we have stored in our minds are nothing but lies. And we
you said 95?
5%.
95%?
Because this comes back to what you just said. You had just said that we grew up, and because of how we're influenced by people, we believe their word over God's word. So that means we only know or believe 5% of God's word and 95% of what we were influenced by. And we allow the 95% to shape our identity. That's that pseudo identity that I was talking about that has nothing to do with God. And that is the one that goes out into the world and makes decisions for relationships.
Because that has a higher percentage than...
Correct. Because we are believing that to be true. And then we allow that to shape us, when in reality. So again, and this is where the conflict comes in. I'm going to church and I'm saying one thing about what I know about to be true about God. And I'm not knocking anybody here. I need people to hear this. It's not that I'm knocking that you don't know God, but you don't believe in the power of God because of the 95% belief system you carry from childhood experiences. And you cannot you need to get to with God until you release that. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she says, you come in with a lot of throat punches, and you're pretty stern, and you come pretty direct. My reason for this is we need to be awakened as a society. Yes. And I have solutions for you. I have coping skills for you. I have strategies for you. I can help you transform, because God did that for me. But in order to get you to the place of transforming you, you have to be aware of where you're standing right now. And I am what you would call a truth teller. I believe it in my soul. It's what God has called me to do, and I'm not changing that. Truth, and it's going to hurt, But I promise you, if you walk with me, I will give you all the hugs you need and rub your back and your shoulders and tell you
Because
But
that's
you're gonna
important
get that
too.
throat punch first.
but you
Because
got to,
that's important too.
because a throat punch will wake you up because you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, where'd that come from? That hurts a little bit. How did that happen?
Exactly. Because
Right?
we have been basically lulled to sleep. It's just like, how you get a baby and you finally get them to where they're
Right.
almost, you want everybody else to be, shh, be quiet. Don't wake the baby up because it took me a
Mhm.
minute to get the baby asleep. But sometimes you have to have a
Get the
really
baby's
harsh
attention.
dose of
That
reality
part.
in
Like, wake
order
up.
for you to want to change. Because as long as everybody's tiptoeing around the situation, you're quiet mouth, still mouth, don't want to say what's going on and what you're thinking so somebody can tell you that's not how it is. We live with a bunch of assumptions and we run with them. And we
That's the next
and we
chapter
make
in the
the
book.
Yeah. That's almost like when they say you shouldn't go to the grocery store when you're hungry because you'll just start. So when
Wanting to
you're
buy
in an
everything.
emotional state, it's something you shouldn't, they say when people having health issues, they shouldn't make major decisions
Mhm.
while they're in their health issue because it's buying in emotion. But
And
Well,
that's
but
the
I think
good, Tina.
also the side and babies be more aware of what's going on than we can ever imagine.
facts.
Them
Babies
kids
and
Facts.
small
know.
children.
Facts.
Miss Patricia said every now and then we need a throat punch to continue to grow.
Yeah,
Facts.
and I want to say real quick, and the defense is not always blocking somebody, or I'm never gonna talk to them no more, or like we are so quick. This society has taught us the block system. Block, block, block. Oh, you moved, and I ain't like the way you move. I'm blocking you. I did so much for you, and you didn't in return do the same to me. I'm done with you. Well, we don't understand our own gifts and talents. When God tell you to do something, if God tell me to do something for Angela, that's what God told me to do for her. Now I can't be upset because Angela, when I was in the city, she didn't give me $100. So because you didn't give me $100, you don't know how to love me. You don't know how to be here for me. You don't want. So I'm blocking you. What? that, that is, it's different assignments that we all have in life, and you cannot make my assignment your assignment.
Well, I want to touch on the assumption thing, which will tie into what you're saying right now. So we personalize something, then we jump to conclusions and we make assumptions because we're fearful of learning the truth of something. We don't want to communicate. We're not looking for clarity. And we're making the assumption based on how we're feeling and what we're thinking.
Back to
Right? No,
personalizing.
correct. It's all tied together. So I'm no even longer looking at the reality of the situation and what it really could mean and what it really could be because I'm too caught up into my own emotional stuff, which, by the way, if given the opportunity with the individual, is rooted in something in their past.
Mhm.
They've either been abandoned, emotionally neglected, and or ignored, and or believing that they're not of value or they're not important. So I do a lot of work around codependency and
Okay.
codependent relationships. Codependency is a mutual dependency between two individuals where they're needing each other for validation. That means I am seeking to perform in a way that will validate me. So what happens is this is where you'll see overachievers, high achievers, overly functioning, overly giving, people with no boundaries. They have no boundaries. They
Okay.
don't respect the boundaries of others, right? The reason why they're doing that is because they believe that if I do for you, that somehow, somewhere, someday, they can cash that in, and then you could do them a solid. And the problem with that is you are setting expectations for others, unrealistic expectations.
Mm.
And when that individual does not meet your expectations, now all of a sudden you're mad at them. I'm going to shut you off. We can't be friends no more. I'm going to shut you down from Facebook or whatever the heck it is that people do. That is emotional immaturity. You are operating from a place where you think you know the facts. You don't know the facts. All you know is what is going on with you, but you have
Mm.
no idea what's going on with that person. And you haven't taken time long enough to even ask that person, hey, what's going on with you? Hey, this is what I was feeling and this is what I was experiencing. Is everything okay? But instead, of communicating and gaining clarification, we jump to the conclusion and we assume the worst based on what's going on with us. And if the other person feeds into that, that's how we stay caught up in that codependent relationship. Because now the other person's going like, oh, maybe I need to apologize. Oh, maybe I do need to give them some money. Maybe I need to do this for them. And now you feel like you've got to somehow please them, and you don't.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility.
That's where the people pleasing start sliding in there.
Correct. Because
and you know what? I think people, yes, I think people, we get caught up in reciprocal behavior, and we get caught up in our expectations. So say you're dating and you got somebody who treats you amazing. They're always doing something. The one thing they don't do is they're not a phone person. So they're not calling you all the time. They're not staying on the phone with you 7 hours a night and y'all falling asleep together. But that's something that you love. You love talking to somebody all the time. But we'll complain about what's not being done quicker than we'll think, oh my God. Because people have different makeup. Some people, that's just not what they do. And once you learn that doesn't mean they don't care about you or love you. It's just that they show you in a different way than maybe what you've been accustomed to.
Yes.
And we got to learn that. You know how they say, don't throw the baby out with the water, with the bath water. You got to know that the baby's important. So just because they don't do that one piece, maybe you need to communicate and say, you know what? Now I love everything you do, and I'm not saying that you don't. Yes, come on, Natashah, manage expectations.
Manage.
Because Dwayne is not a person that's going to stay on the phone. If he call, he's not really going to stay. As he's getting older, he does it a lot more. But when he was younger, he's not a person that's going to stay on the phone all the time. You know what I'm saying?
So you could have taken all that good stuff that he does do for you.
Correct. But I could have been, because for a long time I would be like, well, what's wrong with you? Because he is more of a loner person. He can operate by himself, girl. He can be somewhere doing his thing and he's good. All I got to say is, hey, are you good? You straight to need something? You're like, yeah, I'm good. He doesn't require me to sit in front of him and do all this talking or whatever all the time. And I had to understand that, okay, I ain't doing nothing to him, but what's wrong with him? And I always assume, well, dang, he ain't saying nothing, so it's to me. And I had to adjust my thinking.
So that comes back to validation.
That man like being by himself doing his own thing. He
doesn't need the validation.
That's just who he is.
Correct. He doesn't need the validation. But if there was a part of you at some point in your relationship where you needed validation, you're looking at this going like, well, if that was me, so this is the assumption part. If that was me, if you ever start a sentence off with that, you're heading in the wrong direction. Right? Use that as a sentence stem. If that was me, fill in the blank. That's not the direction to go, because you're assuming that person should then do things and think like you and act like you and respond.
Yes.
Not you.
What if I get mad and say, oh, well, I just asked you how you was doing. I came to check on you. You ain't saying much. You all in your phone doing stuff. So that's what we doing now? Okay, gotcha.
Now you say you don't want somebody just like you. Like, which one? You say you don't want somebody that's just like you. But then when they don't do what you need them to do, just like you want them to do.
Just think about somebody being at work and you have a stack of papers on your desk and somebody walk by and say, oh girl, you got a lot going on. You like, girl, I got so much. I got this stack I need to do. Oh, I can take it and do it because I'm not doing anything right now. And they go ahead and do it. Well, the next time somebody else got a deadline and something, and they're looking at you like, well, I got a lot to do. And can you help me? And you like, I got things over here. Well, when you had yours, I helped you.
That is so quick.
We think that everybody's going to move the same way that we do, and that's not reality.
But because we don't let people be but you don't want people to be who they are. You want to clone them to be exactly who you want them to be when you want them to be.
So that's part of that codependency. When you hear people make statements like that, this is going to hurt somebody. You're not a genuine giver. You are not genuinely giving. You are giving with an expectation in return. And people say to me all the time, well, Natashah, I don't think that way. You don't think that way on a conscious level. But the fact that you said it, oh, well, I've done this for you. And oh, I've done that for you. Oh, you mean you can't do that for me? That means in the recesses of your mind, you had an unrealistic expectation that I was going to be able to you were able to cash in on that someday. And now you're trying to cash in and I can't deliver. Now you're mad at me, but I didn't know that you saw me like the bank, that you can come to me to make a deposit or make a withdrawal. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Or the one time I don't pick up the phone, like I didn't see the phone, or I did pick up the phone. The one time I don't pick up the phone, now you don't care nothing about me. You don't like.
That's a cognitive, which by the way, that's a cognitive distortion. That is what you call all or nothing or black and white thinking. So, let me correct myself, the overgeneralization. So you missed that one phone call. You never take my calls. I'm sorry. It was one time.
Let me show you my call log.
That's a cognitive distortion. So that, guys, we talk about this, but these are the things that lead to increased chronic mental illness. Yes. What we're talking about, codependency is a behavioral addiction. Limiting beliefs is what holds us in place and leads to depression, that leads to anxiety. Cognitive distortions is also part of inside the brain. The brain has a distorted perspective. It has a distorted sort of lens and viewpoint in the way that it sees situations and see people. Its worldview is different from yours. These are the kinds of things that we need to be doing a self-evaluation on, and realizing that the reason why there's so much conflict in our lives and in our relationships is because there's a lot going on within us that God needs to work out in us. Not that somebody else.
And we still have a lot to work on.
All of us, myself included.
Well, let's go back to I'm going to go back to what Tina said. She said, and babies are more aware of what's going on than we can ever imagine. From a baby to a young child to a young adult, when you experience things that happen to you, it's a cumulative thing, because as you're aware, you make decisions on how to adjust. You know what I'm saying? If your parents are always arguing, then you know to stay out the way. You adjust yourself to say that, okay, let me just be quiet.
To create some security.
Yes, for self-preservation and protection. The learned behaviors that you do because you're aware of, because you just think babies know, like we talked about yesterday, Natashah, like, if you know the baby's fed and the baby's dry, the baby will cry because they really love the attention you give them. So you're crying out for that, but there's nothing wrong with the baby. But if you're constantly rushing, you don't give the baby a chance to develop their own ability to adjust to what's going on in life, because you're running to the rescue. Let me pick the baby up. Let me do this. There's nothing wrong with the baby. And you may be tired and overwhelmed and say, oh my God, I'm trying to get things done, and you won't go to sleep. You're crying. And next thing you know, you went all the way to the left. Instead of soothing the baby, now you're screaming and hollering, and before you know it, you're shaking the baby and saying, I just need you to go to sleep.
Yes, that's so true.
We try to figure out how do people do certain things, but it all stems from a lot of
our lack of emotional regulation. Yes. Your inability to regulate your own emotions is causing devastation and destruction and catastrophe in your life. I love what you just said, that whole thing, because I see it now working with families who've been impacted by addiction. I've got adult mothers with adult men and women who they're still babying today. And I'm like, how old is your loved one? They're in their 40s. You've got to be kidding me. And then you're wondering why that they can't function on their own is because you're trying to function for them.
Yeah.
And so what you've now done over the years is non-verbally tell your loved one they're not capable of taking care of themselves. And so so now the belief system is, I can't take care of me. Imagine how scary, imagine how frightening it is to believe that you can't do things on your own. Not want to latch onto somebody? Will you not want to depend on somebody or something to make you feel better?
It's like crossing. You know how you're going to tell a child, look both ways before you cross the street. So when you empower a child with that information, you let them go out in the world because you've told them, look both ways before you cross the street.
You gave them the guidance.
I never let you go anywhere. And I'm always saying, hey, don't step out there. You got to look both ways. Wait a minute before you step. And I'm always 2 steps ahead of your judgment to see, instead of you looking both ways, you don't look anyway. You just wait for them to tell you which way to go. We've given so many people We put them in positions where we don't allow them to make their own decisions because
Don't
we're
allow
always
them.
there to tell them what to do.
We put them in a position to depend on us, which causes dependency issues. And then we get mad when they are addicted to anything.
Yeah, but Natashah, what about when the defender, now that's the way that they feel like that you love them, because you have depended on them all your life. And when you decide that I don't want to depend on you like that,
now
then
my worth is out the window, right? Now I'm believing that you don't love me anymore. So again, we teach people how to treat us. So now my worth and my love is based on you depending on me. And now that you went to treatment or you went to therapy and your therapist told you to depend on yourself, this person over here is going, well, what am I supposed to do now? Because our love and our worth should not be placed in another human being, point blank, period. I do marriage and family counseling, and I tell my couples the same thing. You could love each other. You could be in love with each other. You're not designed to depend on each other to the point that if one of you passes away or something happens in your relationship, that you can't function.
That you can't function.
Right? That's what God is for. God is here for us to depend on God, because if we are depending on each other so much, we no longer make God the priority. We no longer put God first. We're actually putting the marriage or the person or the whatever in our lives above God.
Yeah, because they turn into your God.
Of course.
They turn into your God because you pick up the phone and tell them before you, like, God was like, well, I mean, I'm right here.
This has been really enlightening. I'm telling you, it is not anything that we can unpack in 1 hour. This is an ongoing process. And as we're talking about, and let's put the disclaimer, if you saw yourself in this situation, it's not about anybody, anything specifically, but it's about healing for real. And when you heal for real, you have to look at things that you're uncomfortable looking at. You have to have conversations that you're uncomfortable having. But also you have to go within. Everything, like you say, we make it all about somebody else, but realistically, on both ends, if there ever comes a place where you have to have conversations, you have to be accountable for you, just like they have to be accountable for them. It can't always be, when you point the finger at one person, 3 are pointing back at yourself. Be mindful of conversations that you have, but have conversations. There's nothing wrong with having conversations. There's nothing wrong with sharing your feelings. It's not. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, don't share your feelings or whatever, because we don't have enough open, honest conversations. But it has to be that. Go ahead, Natashah, because I know you was getting ready to drop something.
No. I think that's a great conversation for tomorrow. Having open and honest conversations, because coming back to those limiting beliefs and our fears, we're not having them. We're so fearful of hearing the truth. We're so fearful of hearing somebody say something that may not align with us. And if it doesn't align with us, I don't want to hear it. So exactly talk about it. So I just think it's a good segue for.
And Natashah, can we add? You have to be willing to have an open conversation and remove your emotions and your thoughts, because sometimes I'm having this conversation with them. Well, you already on the high right here. So whatever that person says, you're not hearing them because you're in defense mode. Like, no, you did this to me. No, you punching them.
Well, and that's not a if. So there's some basic fundamental communication skills and rules to going into having a difficult conversation. If somebody's coming in like that, we're not coming in for a conversation. You're coming in for a fight, and I'm going to shut you down right away and let you know that until you can come to me correct, until you can come to me with an actual thought and an actual feeling, we're not having this conversation. Like, I'm not even going to entertain it, right? So
that's the throat punch and the gut punch from Natashah, baby. We said no, we're not doing that. But I don't even want to get into that, because we want to save that for tomorrow, because communication is so huge. And the reality is, when you care about somebody and care about yourself enough to figure out what's going on so that we can heal for real. Because I'm telling you, life as we know it can be very different if you're dissatisfied with it. But the choice is yours on how you move forward with it. And we know that God is a good God. And we know that things happen. And the word says all things come together. So that's good, bad, and ugly. But Crystal has, we had her on here, Crystal Worsley. Her book is On the Other Side of Ugly. On the other side of ugly is great things. And
It
you got to do
is.
it. But that means
Oh,
you got to deal with the ugliness in order to get it. And we got to stop assuming responsibility for all the ugly that happens to people, because sometimes it has nothing to do with you.
yeah.
85% of the time, it has nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with you.
What is it, that 95% again?
Uh,
At 95%, it does not have nothing to do with you.
I mean,
But invite somebody tomorrow
yes,
and
yes,
bring somebody, because we're not pointing these fingers at nobody. It's getting healed for real this time.
yes,
And
yes,
that is even in our emotion, in our mental capacity, in our friendships. It's getting healed for real this time,
yes,
because the other side of ugly is where we're trying to get. We want to live this abundant life that God is calling us to
yes. For
live.
abundance and love and joy and peace, honey,
Yes.
we want to be on that side of living, not the other
Yes.
side of
And we got to
anxiety,
get rid of
depression,
all
and
this other stuff
yes,
so that we
right.
can replace it. It's called replacement. I don't want that no more. So I can replace with the truth. God, hey Kathy, good morning. God is love. God loves you so much, and He cares for you. He wants us healed for real. Like, this is not just us. God wants us healed. God wants us to replace it with His word, with what He believes about us. I believe God. Do you believe God? We believe God. We believe God. We believe God. We will see you back on tomorrow. Happy Winning Wednesday.
Bye, everyone.